Hey everybody, this is Vidar here. We're going to talk a little bit more about synthetic telepathy, gangstalking, and tacticianship that's being used against targeted individuals. We're just going to pick up where we left off. Hopefully you get to catch all the episodes. I would suggest starting at the beginning and working your way through this. I'm not saying I'm an expert at this stuff. I just share my experiences and what I've learned, and maybe you guys can help yourselves with the information I pass on. I left off with the broadcast game. How they like to make people think that there's a large audience worldwide. Now, I'm not saying there isn't, but normally this is just part of a psych out thing. To grasp your attention and start dialogue with you, which is the most important thing to them. If they can get you talking to yourself in public, they really like that. And that also incriminates you and makes you look crazy. If they can get you to laugh out loud with humortizing, if they can get you argutized. The reason I say it like this is because this is the way they say it. That way, if you actually are able to hear some of the lobes of your brain, and some of the transmissions going on there, you'll know what they're talking about. They like getting people to fight with one another, to cause scandal between your bosses, between your family members. And they like to get you to say the wrong things, and they like to get them to say the wrong things. And that way it starts an argument. And then they can play off that and heighten suspicion between your co-workers, your bosses, and your family members, etc., etc. People that you deal with in your life. That way it breaks you down psychologically and incriminates you. If they can get you to talk about this stuff with non-targets or people that don't believe in it, they'll definitely do that. That way they think you're freaking nuts. They pretty much want to pre-record a lot of this stuff for a later date when it comes to these broadcasts. And I'm not really sure why. Maybe so they can manipulate the voices, the voice apps, the programs, so they can cut and edit it and make an ass out of you at some later date. I'm not really sure. There's something called sonic sound reversal. I talked about subconscious memory reversal. These people can not only go back in your memory banks, but through quantum mechanics, they can actually reverse sound. And things you said in the past, they can take those and make them take them completely out of context. And like I said, they can cut and edit that footage and play it back to you and other people to incriminate you. And that way they can turn other people against you. They can say, aha, look what we got this person saying. And then they'll sit there and use it against you. We're going to go on to how they layer frequency to other players. When they put their headsets on, the other participants in this satellite stalk, if you have luminol coding on split neurons with layered frequency, they can say one thing and line it up with another. They can be interrogating you on one channel because they've split your neurons, and then they can be giving you questions that you seem to be answering consciously, but in actuality they're feeding you through voice to skull through the holographs, the satellite guided holograph synthetic telepathy orbs. They're feeding you a different set of conversation, so you think you're responding to that, when in actuality behind there, they masked the frequency and they got you looking like a fucking ass clown on another channel. This is real. This happens. And they use it. Argutizing is when, or favoritism, when one targeter seems to be on your side and seems to be defending you to the other targeter. This is all bullshit. They're all out for the same thing. Make no mistake about it. These people are your freaking enemy. Okay? It's a diversion. It's to get a dialogue started so that they can gain your favoritism by showing favoritism to you. And then you'll think, hey, there's good targeters and there's bad targeters. When in actuality, this is a psychological ploy, basically to lock you in to dialogue and to keeping your focus on them. That's their main goal. That way it's far more easier for them to assimilate you, and everything that happens and transpires during these gang stalks is loaded into a database. And then they access that database and pull out stuff against you. More about the sound reversals. I'm not sure how this works, but they can go back. They can somehow reverse sound and then pull out conversations from the past that you've had. And this may have to do with Freon, refrigerated devices, and air conditionings. I think it links somehow to that. I can't swear to it. But we have appliances. We all have appliances in our home. And they can somehow go through that, through some sort of radio signal, and go back in time to a certain time. And they're not always right on their times, but they can pull this different pieces of conversation that they've recorded or you've had with other people, and then use it against you. And then, of course, with the subconscious memory reversal, they can line it up and really fuck your head up. Though you will think these people are God or something, or some kind of magical spirits. You know, they'll have you thinking all kinds of stuff. Don't pay any mind to this stuff. If they got that information, who gives a shit? Okay? Don't let that intimidate you. If you've lived a decent life and you know it, you don't have that much to worry about anyway. Often the moderator of these stalks, look, they're gonna mess with the lighting in the room a little bit. I would turn that off. We'll get to that in a minute. That's what you call impulse signaling. What they're trying to do is give me a headache impulse. It's not affecting me. Getting back to what I was saying, the moderator will be like, tell her this. And they're back here around the cerebral cortex, or up on top of the head, and they're shouting off commands to the other people, probing your brain lobes for information. They'll be like, tell him this, tell him that, tell her this, tell her that. Make them think it's this person all along. Make them think that the psyops are coming from their friend Randy, or their friend Ted, or their friend whoever. This is all bullshit. In truth, it's somebody, usually inside the military, corporation, the mafia, or the justice system itself. That's who's handling this crap. And it's all being loaded onto a database. InfraGard has a big part in this. Facebook, Google, YouTube. Somehow they're accessing those on us. And they may have people on the inside working for them that are actually manipulating us. Henceforth, the focusing app problem. When people log on, they'll sit there and you'll double type a word, or you'll misspell something that you know damn well you know how to spell. But these people are using the focusing apps against you to make you feel like you're losing it, or you're out of touch. You have some sort of brain damage or whatever. Never give them the authority. Now, it's going to be extremely hard to prove that it's these corporations doing this stuff. I understand that. And that's not what I'm out to do. I'm out to help other targets understand what's happening to them and share my experiences. Maybe in the long run, maybe we will be able to nail some of these guys on the higher end of these stalks. Okay, because it goes from way up here to way down here. the we are game has to do with identity tithing and making you think it's different people, making you think it's this person or that person. Tell them it's the Sacramento Police Department. Tell them it's the San Diego Police. This is all stuff to make you throw you off guard, to keep you on the defensive. Once you have put yourself on the offensive, you are no longer a target, and they know that. That's when you can start messing with them. With these distractions and focus, when they use the focus apps and they use hypnosis on you, they can put you in a dance or a trance or daze, and you'll be like, you sit there for 5 minutes and not even realize you're looking at the computer screen, just zoning out. This is really more effective for people on medication. This is really more effective for people that are on alcohol. They'll sit there and they'll try to lower or raise the dopamine or endorphin levels in your body to give you depression, to change your moods. Any effect they can make, they get a bonus, as they call it. They're like, oh, bonus. They have ways with quantum mechanics, like I said, with the right to left hemisphere of the brain, performing remote neural brain surgery. They don't have to hold you down to do that. They can do that with a satellite, and they can do that with luminol coding. They can rewire your brain so you become more responsive. Can you heal from it? Yes. Yes, you can. Can you necessarily stop them from attempting to do so? Well, I haven't got that far yet. So if you know a way of doing that, please tell me. Manipulation of the dream state. Okay? When we sleep, we're more stationary. We're easier to home in on. If you're a lucid dreamer, they'll try to, through the R&M surgery, rewire your brain so they can more manipulate you during the dream state. They are able that way to influence our waking life. We are so vulnerable when we are asleep. It's unreal. They can influence our thinking during the day. We may not even remember our dreams. They can plant things in the subconscious that will come out in our waking life. Now, if you know anything about the occult, this is an old trick. If you put a spell on somebody while they're sleeping, it's more effective. Well, it's no different with psyops. It's no different with technological harassment. In fact, it's even more pertains to that. With the quantum mechanics and the remote neural brain surgery, they can give the perception that it's speeding up or slowing down time. I covered this briefly in the other one. One of the main concerns of these people is, are you suffering? And when they probe your brain, once you've been over psyops, you'll hear them ask that question. Are you suffering? Are you suffering? They use an interface. They got the screen in front of them, and they got, your brain in front of them, basically, and they'll hit that load, and they'll be like, are you suffering? Are you suffering? And they want to know if they're imposing suffering in your life. It's very important to these assholes that you are duressed or on the defensive, so they can keep you there, so they can absolutely force you into a state of submission and complete mind control. They'll do anything to grasp your attention. They like it when a target's alone. If they can pull you away from an entertainment thing, something you're enjoying, or conversations with people, intelligent people, if they can get you alone, they can grasp your attention much easier and hopefully start a dialogue with you that way. And with the subliminal suggestions of the microwave hearing, what they call voice to skull or V2K, if they have you coded enough, if they have laid enough luminol coding into your brain, they can make suggestions easier. And that way it's harder for you to pick up the transmission consciously. And they'll be like, you should do this or that. They can also do this by manipulation of the dream state. You should call this person or that person, or you should try to do this or that today. They like to take advantage of physical activity that we are involved in. Not only does this help them induce fatigue, and that way they can get back there. Boy, that's heavy, isn't it? That's really heavy, isn't it? Gosh, aren't you tired? Aren't you sleepy? They can sleepmatize you. They can make you nod off. I'm serious. They can do this stuff. They love to take advantage of us when we're working, when we're physically exerting ourselves. They'll come into sex with our partners while we're engaged in intimate relations with our partners. They can sit there and subconsciously, because our attention, of course, is on our partner, or our attention will be on our work. And then they can get in there, in the case of the partner, and they can try to pervert your thinking, or, make it look like you're thinking perverted while you're screwing your partner, or make you feel like you should think that way. It's just very important to them to incriminate the people. And I'm not exactly sure why, but I'm telling you, this is what they're doing. Like I said, they're very dead set on inducing our discomfort at all costs. If the discomfort becomes too great for the synthetic telepathy orbs, they'll just simply raise the dopamine and endorphin level in our body. This puts us in a better mood, and it makes it more tolerable, because sometimes they overdo it because they get too gung-ho, and it gets to where when they put the headsets on, they actually feel your pain. We'll get to that in Counter Psyops. You'll love that episode. That's going to be coming next. But one thing, if you become too much of a threat, or you have too much information, and they know that eventually you're going to spread that information around, they go to the more physical element of a gangstalk, which is having your neighbors, criminals, even your family members, start doing this thing called spiking and lacing and drugging your foods, your beverages, your medicines. If they want to totally eliminate you, I don't know how I've lived through some of the shit they've done to me, but if they want to totally eliminate you, they'll start drugging and poisoning your foods. They'll use euthanizing agents, such as lethanol, which is used to kill farm animals, in particular pigs. It's an ingredient in euthanizing horses on racetracks as well. Lethanol is very dangerous. It's not ethanol, it's lethanol. If you do a search online, you'll have a hell of a time even on Google finding it, but you will find it. GHB and scopolamine, roofies, they love using stuff like that because it puts you out. Okay? And then they're able to get in there and maybe verichip you, or put a neurophonic transceiver in your ear. And when they do that, then it makes adhesion so much easier. I know I haven't had the MRI yet. That's coming soon. But I know a guy who told me he's actually found the implants in his body. And even the doctors refused to remove them because they feared it was some sort of government thing. This can be done by the mafia, by corporations. It's not necessarily always the government involved in these operations. A lot of these things are tied to an organization known as Guard, which is contracted by the NSA to carry out these operations. Scopolamine is one of the favorite things to use because they can get you to do anything on scopolamine. They'll throw you in a trance, and hell, they could probably get you to blow somebody's head off if you were subduable enough. And then you got a homicide charge. Problem solved, target eliminated. you're on your way to the mental home. They say that the Colorado theater shooter was given scopolamine and fed microwave energy. It's well known already, even on national news, international news, that the Navy Yard shooter, which was a more recent event, was being manipulated by microwave machinery, and they probably were using GHB and scopolamine and other agents to ensure his elimination as a threat. A lot of targets are ex-military, or know military secrets, or have had people in their families that are in the military, and they have that information, and they want to eliminate them for those reasons. There's a lot of reasons for eliminating people, and one of them has to do with Agenda 21 and the decrease in the population worldwide. And this is an agenda that's publicly known, and nobody gives a fuck. They're trying to get rid of people. We can only contemplate all the reasons. All I'm here to do is share these things with you, and maybe this will help you. I think in my case it's more personal. I happen to see some things in my home, on my computers, that were really bad. And some of my family members were actually attached. Some unknown email accounts that I know were attached to certain family members with very illicit stuff going on these videos. And they blink out the fucking video, and I just hear the audio. You know, I could never get to the bottom of it. When I inquired family members about it, they always blew me off, gaslighted me about it. And then the next thing I know, I'm incriminated for a bunch of crap. Electromagnetic fillers make it way easier. So they'll drug you with electromagnetic fillers or nanobots. Pour them into your coffee or espresso or even into your food with a mixture of scopolamine. How to tell when you have electromagnetic bots or nanobots in you? You'll feel a tingling in your legs, sometimes in your arms. You'll feel those go from one part of your body to another. They'll put this stuff in your medicine too. And at that point, they can send those electromagnetic bots or fillers to your internal organs and shock you to fucking death. That's the point in it. And with electromagnetic bots or nanobots, they're absolutely undetectable. They're not going to show up in a frickin' autopsy. They'll blame it on something else, that you had a heart issue or whatever, or that you had breathing problems even, or that you were diabetic, or yada yada. They'll pass it off as natural causes. And in some cases, they'll even put an insurance policy out on targets, that way everybody collects. And they'll lie to other people involved in your stalk saying, hey, there's money involved in this if we get this guy eliminated. And really, they're just bullshitting them. Just to get them to do it, so you're eliminated as a threat. Another way they can induce these drugs into a target system is injection through your water lines in your home. Especially if you are a renter, if you live in an apartment complex, well, they can just simply send small people or even children to inject into those lines drugs, magnetic bots, whatever, into your water line. You can be in there in the shower, be sitting there. It absorbs into your skin. Or they can put it in the sink line, say, you fill up your coffee pot. Shh. Next thing you know, you pour it in there. About an hour or two later, you feel like you're on fucking PCP or something. Okay? They love using small children to carry out the ops because they can infiltrate small places. They can get in small places that adults can't. They're able to crawl in between floorboards. They're able to crawl in between spaces in the wall. They can infiltrate attic spaces. And if you don't have access to those places, if you're a renter, and you go start pulling up floorboards or something, well, by golly, then you're guilty of property damage. And they'll lock your ass up. If you're in a situation where you're in an apartment, and you can't get this is my personal advice, because I've been in this situation. If you are in an apartment or a townhouse or whatever, and you have this kind of stuff going on, and you can absolutely hear perpetrators going in between the walls and the floorboards, and your family is, well, there's nobody there. They're gaslighting the fuck out of you. Get the fuck away from those people. They're fucking evil. Okay? Get out. Because if you don't, you may just wind up in a pine box or in prison. They'll do whatever it takes to eliminate you. And they'll try to feed your family members and friends reasoning for doing it. Saying you're this kind of criminal or that kind of criminal. And they'll believe it. Especially if it's delivered from an authority figure to them to do this. They'll absolutely follow through with it. And they won't give a shit. Get away from them. Don't even act like you're leaving. Just pack your bags and get whatever you can. They'll try to stop you from leaving. They'll psyops you from leaving. That way they can fuck with you longer. Get out. I'm telling you. Get out. They'll use conveyors and directed energy weapons. They'll even have children shoot them. Hold on a second. They'll have a small person or a child with a microwave gun, okay? Infiltrate these tight spaces. Or a direct energy weapon, a pulse weapon, or microwave gun. And while you're sleeping at night, they'll sit there and point that right at your ear all freaking night. They can make them up to this small. They can even put a microwave app or a frequency app on a cell phone and just hit that cell phone. Aim it right toward your ear all night long. It will give you permanent, if not temporary, brain damage. And it can even induce brain cancer and other things. Get out of these situations, people. If you live in a government housing complex, if you live in apartments, if you're a renter, and you hear stuff go bump in the night, it's not always spirits. In fact, that might be the last thing it will be. No, those are perps. Or the children of those perps. They'll infiltrate a whole building. Psyops the whole building down. I've seen it done. Why would they do this kind of stuff? Well, they can put, like conveyor systems, they can put chains, they can drag chains across the board, do noise harassment. A lot of the reason why they'll do this stuff is motivations for illegal surveillance and pornography. They want to get you screwing your wife in your home. They want to catch you engaged in masturbation and then you use guilty impulses to make you feel bad for that. Or threaten to release that in public. That's called blackmail. Another motivation is pornos make money. So they're all about that. They're all about putting $1 in their pocket. This is especially pertaining to people that aren't on a private residence. That don't own their own homes. You guys, as targets, are the most at risk for this kind of activity. They love lining up angry impulse signals with other people's aggravations. They can sit there and send aggravated, with directed energy weapons, it's so much more easy to manipulate people. And, that you can be hit with directed energy weapons in private residences if your house is close enough to a perps. You still have to worry about these things. So they can actually impose scandals in your family. They can hit you guys both with microwaves all night. You get up in a bad mood. Next thing you know, you and your wife are fighting. You and your brother are fighting. You and your sister, whoever. Blows into a big, big scandal and words come out from both ends, on both parties, and you guys can't even hardly forgive each other. Well, they've got you out of the area. You're all sulky and stuff. You're feeling bad for what you said or whatever. When in truth, half the time, the shit that's been said to you is probably worse. Just because you may be the ultimate target doesn't mean the people around you won't be somewhat targeted and not even know it. Everybody manipulates everybody in a gang stalk. The perps manipulate the perps. Especially when the synthetic telepathy is involved. They can absolutely just totally manipulate the hell out of the whole situation. Lies and manipulation. They'll manipulate info to one another. They'll confuse. They'll impulse signal people to think ill of one another through subconscious memory reversal and what they call memory implantation in the dream state. They can even create memories in the brain that never existed. Unless you're aware, you won't catch them at it. You have to be constantly vigilant. They love making people think. They love demonizing the ultimate target. They love making people think that the worst about that target is possible. That way they can absolutely, at some point, no matter how astute that target is, incriminate the shit out of them. One thing they love to do to fuck with people's brains is called necrotizing. This is when perpetrators, through microwave hearing and other means, noise harassment, will pretend to be your dead family members or friends. And they'll actually, out of subconscious memory reversal through your memory, be able to, with voice apps, adapt that person's general sound of their voice and make you think you're having a conversation with that person. These are not frickin' spirits, people. These are not frickin' aliens. These are frickin' people that are trying to eliminate you and drive you up a wall. Don't fall for it. They'll have targets convinced that they're demons and spirits and all kinds of groovy stuff. No, this is all technology. I'm sorry. You'll know the difference, especially if you've been over psyops and you're attuned to natural forces anyway. Say you have experience as a shaman. You'll know the difference between actual spirits and what these people do. The psyops will have effects on the animals, babies, and children around you, and these people don't even give a shit. They don't give a shit if kids get hurt, or if they send some little kid in between your floorboards or wall space with a microwave gun and they wind up getting ticks from it. They'll try to play it down like, oh, that's impossible. No, it's not. The very perpetrators that are perpetrating these crimes can have backlashes from what they're doing. They will hack into a person's computer. They'll have remote users. They'll make shadow accounts that you know you didn't open. But they'll be there. And then they'll blame you for it. They'll pull up sites in the background. You'll be like, or certain things that just pop up on your computer screen. You'll be like, how the hell did this get here? And then they'll blame you for it. This is what you're up against. They'll incriminate the goddamn hell out of you. They don't care. They don't care as long as they get what they want. They'll bring them stuff. You'll see programs on there you don't even know what the hell they are. You'll close out one window and you'll see a window you didn't even search for. They'll send your computer viruses, spyware, all kinds of stuff. They can slow computers down. They can slow Wi-Fi down. They can do these things because they have those satellites. Mainly whoever is behind this has always got access to the satellite technology. And they're handing the local perps all of the lowdown and filtering that to them so it keeps them incriminating or blackmailing the hell out of them so they continue to psyop you. They love hacking into home PCs. They love remote controlling PCs in your home. They love this thing called thought to text. Let's talk about thought to text. Thought to text is where anytime a neuron fires in your brain, well, You're having a thought. And we think in words, kind of like we communicate. So when you think, even if it isn't your own thoughts and they're assimilated thoughts or they're trying to make them look like your thoughts, they will send those thoughts out, thought to text, to phone. And perpetrators and participants in the stalk will get these. Now, they're not always your thoughts. Sometimes they're their thoughts, but they'll make them look like your thoughts. And then it'll give the perpetrators more fuel to fire to hate your guts. They'll sit there and read the text off. And I'm a smart ass. So I've sent out some pretty fucked up thought to text. You can bet that. Just to mess their minds up. Because if they're going to play with my head, I'm definitely going to beat the shit out of their brain. So we'll get to that in counter psyops and combats, which will be coming up in the next episode or two. Remote neural brain probing. If you do not respond, they'll keep poking at you. Poking at you and poking at you until you do. Once you respond, then that gives them, makes them look like you're accepting of those frequencies. And that gives them the excuse to move ahead. State laws and psyops. Certain spy bots, certain holography have laws. Certain states have laws about this kind of thing. Yeah. You wouldn't think that, but they do. In some states, these holography, satellite-driven holography, are unregulated. Certain countries, certain states. Others have regulations on them that they have to be honest, that they can only use this tactic if it's honest. I'm in a state like that right now. Henceforth, I'm able to prioritize and put this into perspective. Because I am honest. I wish that the perpetrators against targeted individuals could be honest as well. Because some of the most honest people I've ever met are targeted individuals. Hypnosis and subductions. When you first begin to be psyops, they like to get in here, into the jaws, and into this area, in around the ears, and into the temporal lobe of the brain. They can get a spy bot or satellite holography to attach to the temporal lobe. It's much easier to possess a target through synthetic telepathy. They can absolutely control you, and they can make themselves look like you. They can make you move your mouth even. Make you look like you're demonically possessed. I've had this happen. They'll be like, oh, he's possessed. He's evil as shit. Look at him. He's sitting there talking in demon language. Nope. That's them. That's them and their psyops equipment. But other members of the stalk that are perpetrating the stalk will sit there and be like, well, we're doing the right thing. We got to stop him. He's Satan himself. Moderators will always filter the info to the other targeters. So the primary target is further incriminated. They love doing this. It just makes it easier. It puts people's conscience at ease. That makes them feel like they're doing the right thing or they're carrying out the stalk for the right reasons. There is no right reasons for this bullshit. You want to talk about evil? You want to talk about demonic? This is the shit that's demonic. Hell, Satan wouldn't even let him in hell. If there was such a being. Wouldn't even let him in hell for the stuff that's going on. Not even the least guilty among them. They love to get people to gaslight your family members. They love to get your family members to gaslight you. The more gaslighting, the more bullshit that they can spread about you, the better. Because it makes you more incriminated and makes you easier to eliminate. There's something I have a question about. I found this program on my computer when I lived in Ohio. I couldn't get rid of it. I questioned some of my family members about it. They were pretty hush-hush about it for some reason. And it's called WARZ, spelled W-A-R-Z. members gaslighting you as I've described here. Because if you do, please try to get into that and find out what's up with it. Because it has something to do with targeting. Another thing, I've seen a lot of links, websites, even closed-circuit TV websites with family members of mine, former family members, their emails or emails I didn't recognize that are obviously theirs attached to them. Look for things like this and identify them, and you'll know that in some way or form your family members are involved in the process of elimination against you. I want to talk about how we detect impulse signals. Okay, lights, like up above my head here, if they dim out, they come in, they dim out, they come in, or they flutter, impulse signals are being delivered kinetically through those lights. It's called kinetic light apps. Kinetic light programs. They can be sent through the street lights, LED, EMF. They can be sent through any electronic device. Impulse signals are all electronic. Our brains are our whole entire bodies are bioelectrically driven. Our motor skills, our functions, our nervous system, all of this has to do with electricity. If you're a targeted individual, you better start thinking like that, because that is what is manipulating your mind. So you're going to have to start realizing that. Everything that's going on with your targeting, except for the local part and the directed energy weapons that they may be delivering to you on a local level, has to do with the power grid. A great way to kill people is microwave heat. They can turn up microwave heat on a hot day. They can give you a heat stroke. They can cook your brain inside your skull. They can make you less alert, less smart. You'll fall dead. This has happened to a lot of targets, especially in the area of the country I'm in right now, or in high humidity areas in the summertime, where they have heat indexes that are way off the charts. And they'll just pass these off as simple, oh, he had a heat stroke or she had a heat stroke. When actually it was murder. We are facing elimination. We are facing remote neural murder. Not all targets are high priority targets, and they don't have to worry about this stuff quite as much. But the people that are very aware, the targets that are very aware, they're going to try to kill you, and probably have tried to kill you numerous times. I know a lot of targets that they have tried to kill, and have confided in me. They have tried to kill me, absolutely kill me, via frequency and microwave heat and other methods. You're in a war to live. You're in a war to survive if you're in this position. The last thing I want to discuss with the tactics is superimposing. They'll line up the subliminal messages through the microwave hearing. Of course, put it in a certain area of your brain, your subconscious, or your voice to skull, into your temporal lobe. They'll line that up with impulse signal. Let's say hunger impulse. Through the microwave hearing or the subliminal hearing, they'll be like, aren't you hungry? Then they'll send that hunger impulse out through the electric. While at the same time, they'll superimpose in your frontal lobe or in your visual cortex, is where it always wants to go, because the visual cortex is back here, your eyes are here. Visual cortex is back here. So they'll superimpose a big, fat, juicy cheeseburger. This is just one example. They could do this with anything. It doesn't have to be hungertizing. It could be other things too. Superimposing helps to keep your focus on them. Superimposing sent out in the same manner that impulse signals and satellite holography are sent out. Okay, guys, I'm done for now. I've rambled enough. Next, I'm going to come back with ways to counter all of the stuff I went over. And Be happy, everyone. Keep your chin up and enjoy your lives as much as possible, because their objective is to keep your focus on your suffering and upon them. God bless America. God bless the people of this world. And God bless everyone who is a victim of this type of manipulation. And when I say God bless, even if you're an atheist, whatever you believe in, whether it's your higher self, then bless you. Have a great day.